Welcome learners. Welcome to online course on applied ethics. Today we are going to discuss terrorism causes and consequences. So in today's lecture we are going to review one of the most challenging situation of the present day world, namely terrorism. So actually there are going to be two lectures on terrorism. First that we are going to discuss today, that is terrorism causes and consequences, and another lecture will be on the terrorism and social ethics. So in today's lecture, that is on terrorism and causes and consequences, we will try to understand the meaning of terrorism, its history, and the key causes of terrorism, exploring the political, religious, and socio-economic factors that contribute to its rise. And at the same time, we are also going to examine the various consequences of terrorism on individuals, societies, and nations, looking at the immediate and long term impacts of terrorist activities. So, let us start with its definition. Terrorism refers to the unlawful use of violence or intimidation, particularly against civilians, in pursuit of political or ideological aims. An act of terrorism are typically planned to generate widespread fear and panic, destabilizes government or societies, and force political changes. Now, there are some key points associated with this concept of terrorism. It builds some kind of psychological state of extreme fear, insecurity, and anxiety, beside the physical damages it causes in terms of loss of life and material goods. And terrorist activity is also able to cause massive impairment to an individual and the society at large due to its surprise and shock tactics. And the target that is selected in terrorism is random to produce the maximum panic among the innocent people. So now let us look at the evolution of the definition of terrorism. First of all, let us look at its historical origin. This word terrorism is actually derived from the French word terrorisme, based on the Latin terror, which means to frighten. First, it was used by Edmund Burke during the Reign of Terror in the French Revolution, where terror was a tool to dictatorship. If we move to the 18th and 19th century, in 18th century, Immanuel Kant linked terrorism to the loss of trust and hope, an experience of external loneliness. In 19th century, terrorism was viewed as violent behavior aimed at disrupting society to achieve political goals, often involving bombing, kidnapping, and assassination. Then there was a nationalist and ideological understanding of terrorism. In the late 19th century, terrorism was linked with nationalist movements and anti colonial struggles. During World War II, terrorism became associated with fascism or Nazism. If we look at the modern use of the term like terrorism and terrorist carries some negative connotation, often used politically. And we see that group labeled as terrorists may call themselves as freedom fighters or liberators. Now, let us, after looking at how its definition has grown in different time frames, let us look at the historical context of terrorism. If we look at the earlier forms of terrorism, we know that terrorism is not a recent or new phenomena. It has existed throughout the history. In ancient times, the zealots in Judea, for example, were known to carry out acts of terrorism against Roman occupiers around 1st century CE. They employed tactics of assassination and ambush to resist Roman rule. Now, during the Roman French Revolution in 1789 to 1799, The term terrorism itself was coined, referring to the reign of terror, as I pointed out during its definition. So, this period was marked by state sponsored violence, including mass executions by the revolutionary government to suppress perceived enemies of the revolution. If we look at the medieval era, in medieval eras as well, we had the assassins around 1100 AD. There were an Islamic sect that fought against the Christian crusaders using suicide tactics. They would infiltrate enemy ranks, often at the cost of their own lives, to carry out assassination that would weaken their opponent's leadership. Then we had the thugs of India, active around 1300 AD. They were the secret cult known for kidnapping and sacrificing travelers. Then we had Spanish Inquisition from 1469 to 1600 AD. That was a period in which heretics were subjected to systematic torture. This was a method employed by Catholic Church to eliminate dissent and enforce religious conformity, creating an atmosphere of terror in medieval Spain. Now, if we move to the modern era of terrorism, in 20th century, terrorism took on a new dimensions with ideological and political group using it as tool to challenge existing power structures like anarchist, leftist groups, and nationalist movements. These use terrorism to further their causes, with many targeting governments and civilian population to incite political change. Now, if you look at the more recent time, 21st century, terrorism has been increasingly associated with religious extremism. The rise of groups like Al Qaeda and ISIS has brought a new wave of terrorism, particularly motivated by religious ideologies and extremist interpretation of faith. These groups have used terrorism as a means to establish religious rule and challenge Western influences. Now, after looking at the definition, meaning of terrorism and its historical context, let us look at what are the causes of terrorism. So, there are political reasons for terrorism, and this is one of the major drivers. Political dissatisfaction is the major driver behind terrorism. In many cases, terrorism arises in response to oppressive regimes that fail to provide political representation or basic right to certain groups. People who are marginalized or excluded from the political process may turn out to be terrorists as a mean of voicing their grievances. We can take up an example here, like the ongoing Palestine and Israeli conflict that has led to the emergence of terrorist groups that use violence in an attempt to gain political recognition and autonomy. In Syria, political instability and civil war have also contributed to the rise of terrorist organizations such as ISIS, which exploited the power vacuum and discontent in the region. Now, there are many cases where state sponsored violence also fuels terrorism. Governments that use excessive force to engage in human right abuse may unintentionally radicalize their population, pushing some to adopt violent resistance. Now, apart from political reasons, there are religious causes as well for terrorism. Religious extremism, as I pointed out earlier, is another major cause of terrorism. In many instances, terrorist groups justify their action through extremist interpretation of religious doctrines. These groups may view their violent act as part of a holy war or a divine mandate to eliminate those they consider to be enemies of their faith. Here also we can take up an example like ISIS and Boko Haram have framed their violent actions as part of a religious struggle against Western influence or secular governments. So they use religious rhetoric to recruit followers, convincing them that their cause is righteous and divinely sanctioned. So the concept of martyrdom is often promoted by them, encouraging individuals to sacrifice their lives in terrorist attacks. Then third cause, which we might look at for terrorism, is economic inequality in the society, poverty, unemployment, and lack of access to resources. These are quite significant socio-economic causes of terrorism. In many cases, economically marginalized populations become vulnerable to recruitment by terrorist organizations. These organizations may offer financial incentives, a sense of purpose, because sometimes some people lose sense of belongingness. So they also give a sense of purpose or a means of survival for individuals who have few other opportunities. So if we take up an example here, in many regions, terrorist group recruit young men from impoverished communities who have limited access to education or employment. These young men may feel that joining a terrorist group is the only way to secure a better future for themselves and their families. So terrorist organizations actually exploit these socio-economic conditions to strengthen their ranks and gain support. Then the fourth reason could be social exclusion. Marginalized communities that face discrimination or social exclusion are also susceptible to radicalization when individuals or groups are systematically excluded from social, economic, or political participation. They may become disillusioned and seek alternative ways to assert their identity and power. For example, in Europe, the radicalization of some immigrant communities has been linked to feeling of alienation and exclusion. So these communities often face challenges such as racial discrimination, limited job opportunities, and lack of social integration. So terrorist organizations exploit these grievances, offering an outlet for anger and frustration by radicalizing these individuals and turning them against the societies they feel have rejected them. Then, fifth factor, there are psychological factors also, which leads to terrorism. They play a quite significant role in driving individuals towards terrorism. Alienation is a key element where individuals feel disconnected from the society, marginalized or excluded from the other people. So this sense of alienation can give rise to a desire for identity, recognition, and belonging. So many people who join terrorist groups are actually searching for meaning or a sense of purpose that they feel lacking in their lives. For instance, individuals with personal grievances, which have, some family issues or family problems, such as fear, they also might have a feeling of unfairly treatment or having experienced injustice in the past. They might seek recognition through violent means. These individuals often believe that engaging in terrorism is a way to assert their importance, gain attention, and achieve the recognition they feel they deserve but have not received through traditional means. And the way terrorist attacks and terrorists have been portrayed in media, that draws the attention of these people because they also want to come into the limelight and they want to draw their people's or mass attention towards them. Then, apart from these factors, socio-political, economical, social disparity, or psychological factors, there are ideological motivations as well. So, strong belief in political, religious, or ideological causes can also fuel terrorism. Individuals or groups motivated by ideology often perceive their action as part of a larger justified struggle. They don't see it as something wrong. They consider it to be something pious. So they are willing to commit to the acts of violence to achieve what they see as noble or necessary goal. For example, during the Cold War, Marxist, Leninist terrorist groups in Latin America engaged in violence to outthrow capitalist government and promote communist ideologies. These groups believed their violent actions were part of a broader revolutionary struggle against oppression and capitalism. Similarly, religious extremist groups today justify their actions by claiming that they are defending their faith or fulfilling divine commands. Then, this terrorism is also a result of globalization. Globalization, which actually refers to the increased interconnectivity of the world through trade, technology, and communication, has had a significant impact on the spread of terrorism. While globalization has facilitated economic growth and cross cultural exchanges, it has also led to cultural clashes. In many cases, the rapid spread of Western values and lifestyle has been perceived as a threat by certain groups, particularly in conservative or traditional societies. These cultures clashes can lead to resentment, fueling radical ideologies, and in some cases, terrorism. Moreover, globalization has enabled terrorist organizations to use modern technologies and communication platforms such as social media to recruit and radicalize individuals on a global scale. Social media has become a powerful tool for terrorists, allowing them to disseminate their propaganda, communicate their ideologies, and recruit followers from around the world. One of the most notable example is ISIS global recruitment strategy. ISIS used online platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and encrypted messaging apps to reach potential recruits globally. By spreading their propaganda and messages in multiple languages, ISIS was able to attract thousands of foreign fighters from different parts of the world. So their use of internet and social media exemplifies how globalization and advancement in technology has transformed terrorism into a global phenomena now. Now, after looking at the most significant causes behind terrorism, let us now look at some of the types of terrorism. So, we can differentiate between domestic or international terrorism. Domestic terrorism refers to acts of terrorism that occur within a country's border and are carried out by individual or groups native to that country. The goals of domestic terrorists are often related to internal political, social, or ideological issues. An example of domestic terrorism is the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, where Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nicholas carried out an attack that killed 168 people in response to their opposition to the US government. Then, if we talk about the international terrorism, it involves terrorism that crosses national borders with individual or groups carrying out attacks in foreign countries. International terrorists often target foreign government or civilians as part of broader ideological or political struggle. The September 11, 2001 attack on the World Trade Center and Pentagon by Al Qaeda are a classic example of international terrorism. Then there are some state sponsored terrorism apart from domestic terrorism and international terrorism. State sponsored terrorism refers to the support of terrorist activities by the government itself, either directly or indirectly. Some nations provide financial, logistical, or military support to terrorist group as part of their strategic objectives. These government use terrorism as a tool to achieve their geopolitical goal or to undermine rival nation. Now, moving to the consequences of this heinous act of violent act, which is called terrorism, there are some immediate consequences and there are some long-term consequences, loss of life and injury. So, terrorist attacks are often designed to maximize causalities with civilians being the primary target. Here we can again take up the example of 9/11 attack in United States, which resulted in 3,000 deaths. Another immediate effect of terrorism is psychological trauma, where survivors of terrorist attacks, as well as those who witness the aftermath, often experience fear, anxiety, and long-term mental health issues such as post-traumatic stress disorder. Then, if we talk about the long-term consequences of terrorism, one of the long-term consequence is economic consequence. Economic consequences. Terrorism has severe long-term economic impact, which can destabilize the financial system of the affected nation. The immediate aftermath of terrorist attack often result in significant costs related to rebuilding infrastructure and providing aid to victims. However, the broader economic consequences extend far beyond the immediate cost. One of the primary issue is the loss of investors' confidence. Terrorist attacks create uncertainty and instability, which can lead to the withdrawal of foreign investment and reduced economic growth. For example, after 9/11 attack, the US economy faced severe disruptions. Stock markets plummeted, airlines and tourism industries suffered huge losses, and the overall cost of the attacks exceeded $100 billion, including the cost of rebuilding, compensation, and heightened security measures. Then there are some political consequences of long-term political consequences of the terror attacks. This in long-term terrorism can lead to significant political changes. In many cases, governments respond to terrorism by strengthening of authoritarian measures and increasing surveillance to enhance national security. While these measures are sometimes implemented to protect citizens, they can also lead to the erosion of the civil liberties and individual freedoms. Then there are long-term social consequences. We can see the divisions within the society. One of the most troubling outcome is the rise of xenophobia and religious intolerance. Because after terrorist attacks, especially those initiated by extremist group uh, claiming religious motivation, fear and suspicion towards minority community often increase. Then there is also impact on refugees and displacement. This is another significant social consequence of terrorism. Terrorist activities contribute to instability in regions, making it unsafe for people to remain in their house. So, as a result, millions of people are forced to flee, seeking refuge in other countries. Then another consequence is related to global security and counter terrorism. In response to growing threat of terrorism, nations around the world have increased global security measures. This includes the formation of international alliances such as NATO, NATO, which plays a significant role in coordinating counter-terrorism efforts across borders. Stricter border control, enhanced airport security, and intelligence sharing between nations have become the norm. So these efforts aim to prevent the spread of terrorism and thwart potential attacks. And then there are also challenges of counter-terrorism. So counter-terrorism might be considered as an essential act for ensuring national and global security. But one needs to particularly focus on balancing security needs with the protection of human rights, because some counter terrorism strategies such as drone strikes, targeted military interventions, these have been criticized for causing civilians causalities and collateral damages. We'll discuss more about it when we'll be looking at the social ethics and terrorism. Then there is destabilization of the governments as a result of terrorism. When a government lacks the capacity to control terrorist activities or respond effectively, it can create a power vacuum, allowing terrorist group to flourish. So in some cases, terrorism exacerbate existing conflicts, further weakening governmental structures and plunging countries into chaos. Then there is also seen a shift in international relations. In the wake of major terrorist attacks, nations often form new alliances or strengthen existing ones to combat the sheer threat of terrorism. However, terrorism can also lead to unilateral actions by powerful nations, sometimes bypassing international law or ignoring the concern of other countries. For example, the US war on terror, initiated after 9/11, led to military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. So these actions significantly shifted global political dynamics, creating new tensions and alliances. So now, having a final thought on the whole discussion, terrorism can be seen as a complex phenomena driven by multiple causes, including political, economical, religious, social, and psychological factors. While political oppression and religious extremism are often cited as primary drivers, economic inequalities and social exclusion also play a crucial role in radicalizing individuals and groups. So, the motivations behind terrorism are varied, but the consequences are universally devastating. The impact of terrorism are both immediate and long lasting, affecting individuals, societies, and nations and global security. In the immediate aftermath of terrorist attacks, we see loss of life, physical injury, and psychological trauma. However, the long term effects are equally severe, with economic downturns, political repression, social divisions, and shifts in international relations. So, understanding terrorist root causes is critical to developing effective prevention and counter-terrorism strategies. So, by addressing the underlying political, socio-economic, and ideological grievances, we can reduce the appeal of terrorism and work toward a more secure and peaceful world. So it is essential for governments, international organizations, and civil society to collaborate in tracking the global challenge, ensuring that both security and human rights are protected in the fight against terrorism. Thank you everyone for joining today's lecture. I'll see you on another lecture on terrorism and social ethics.